What do we got?
I have something really unique to show you today. It's a 17th century powder flask. If I understood it, it's for a dueling pistol.
This is really neat. We have the Fleur de Lis. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. That would make it French. Fleur de Lis, Fleur de Lis.
Fleur de Lis.
Whatever.
I have a 17th century powder flask. It's ivory, and I think it's from France. My dad made black powder guns for a living, so he collected a lot of things around that world. I want to get $20,000 for the gunpowder flask.
Okay, that is definitely cool. Do you know much about it?
Well, it's a 17th century powder flask. You know, I always pictured this really famous guy that won a lot of duels, and that was his powder flask.
I think it's more jewelry than it is actually used for a gun.
Oh.
A really, really rich dude had this. Guys like that, they never used this. There was nothing to do if you were rich, okay? If you were poor, you woke up in the morning, you went to work, and then by the time you got home, you collapsed and did it again the next day. You worked like a dog all day long. Now, if you were super rich, it's not like you went and go, well, here today I'm gonna get my sports car. Today I'm gonna get my Harley. Maybe we'll go to the lake and get on the jet ski. There was none of that. So back then, what they did was they got dressed up and went to fancy parties. This would hang on a guy's belt.
So this is more form over function.
Oh, yeah, this was dressing up.
Oh.
This is ivory. That is bone in there. That was pretty common because what they used to do with ivory a lot is like the background and stuff like that you couldn't see that well. They would put bone in there because it was a lot cheaper than ivory.
Oh.
Whoever made this, he was good. You see how he inlaid this with gold, and this is one bluing technique where you get that color, a different bluing technique where you get that color, and a third one there. Bluing was an art, and the color of the bluing was dependent upon the temperature of the metal, the oils you were using, and everything else like that. Now, how old it is, that's debatable. Is there any markings on it anywhere?
Nothing that really gives it a date or a timestamp, but if you look at the guy on the front, he kind of addresses the 17th century, and my dad always said it was from that era, so.
Okay. You know, today you can go out and buy things with George Washington's picture on it. That doesn't give it a date.
But were they made of ivory today?
There was no problem getting ivory up to like 30 years ago, so. How much will you get out of this?
$20,000 is fair for something this age, this ornate.
Let me just call someone up. Someone's gonna know a lot more than I am. They're gonna know about the value better. But I have a friend who will know everything.
Yeah, that works.
So hang out 15 minutes, and I'll be right back.
Sounds good. Really looking forward to the expert getting a look at this gunpowder flask. I think he's gonna probably say it's worth a lot more than I'm asking.
Here it is. Wow. It's old. Exactly how old, I don't know.
The detail is stunning. The Fleur de Lis puts it absolutely French and also somehow related to the monarchy because of the crown. And that was not done lightly. This is somebody who has permission or is somehow associated with the crown. You didn't just decide you wanted a priming flask and throw the crown on there. But on the other side, this is very clearly King Henry II. So King Henry II died in 1559.
Oh.
But it's not that old. What I think this is a tribute to King Henry II. Now, Henry II was a really popular king at the time because he was an avid hunter and an outdoorsman, and he was always celebrated by French kings going on, most notably Louis XIV, the Sun King, the man who built Versailles. I do think that it would have belonged to one of his courtiers.
Okay, that is definitely cool.
The French court was notorious for its competition. Status was everything, and part of what helped you attain status were high-priced accessories. This would have been one of the finest pieces of craftsmanship you could have purchased. These two hooks here would have connected to some type of fancy lanyard that went around the courtier's neck and under their arm, and it would have hung there. And you can see this is something to other people to be envious of. Almost like today a man wears an expensive watch.
So what do you think it's worth?
It's in exquisite condition. My best guess is that at the right auction, $20,000.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Good luck. A 17th century ivory primer flask would be valued by collectors not just of militaria, but also of art. So you really got the best of both worlds.
It's a great piece of history. It really is. I mean, what's your best price on it?
You heard the man, $20,000 seems like a pretty fair price.
$20,000 in the right auction, or I pay you 10 grand. You walk away with the money, I take all the risk.
What about 15,000?
I'll give you 11 grand for it.
Ah, it's hard. Could you do 12?
All right, 12,000, we got a deal.
Thank you.
All right, I'll meet you right over there.
Thank you.
So instead of a powder flask, it was like a purse thing?
Can I help you?
Yeah, I hope so.
What do we got?
Well, I have a Incan Kero. They're made in the 15th, 16th century, so it's kind of a cool item.
So where'd you get it?
I actually found it at an antique shop.
Okay.
Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri.
This is a really random thing to find in the Ozarks.
I have an Incan Kero cup that I'm hoping to sell. I found the cup at an antique shop in Missouri. Thought it was interesting. It's in great condition. If I could get 900 out of it, which is basically what I paid, I think that'd be great.
All right. So it's Incan, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
People don't realize that in South America, from the 13 to the 1500s or 1600s, somewhere in that area, that was the largest civilization in this hemisphere. For what we know, they didn't invent a wheel. They didn't have horses. They were still able to build these giant pyramids. I mean, it's pretty impressive when you think about it. They were never exposed to the diseases we had. As soon as we came over here, they all kind of just got wiped out within 100 years. You know, there was no written language. There was no historians. So a lot of what we know about them is through artifacts like this.
Right, yeah, it's not like there's anyone to ask anymore.
I mean, it looks like it's silver, and it definitely looks Incan, Mayan, something from that part of the world. What are you looking to get out of it?
I spent a pretty good penny on it. I'm hoping to at least get what I spent. So if I could get 900 out of it, considering the age of it, the condition of it, I think that's completely fair.
I mean, it looks like it's in good condition. The problem is I don't know, have you ever been to Mexico City or anything like that? Or
I've been to Mexico a couple times.
almost every corner, there's a table with them selling
Something similar to that,
something
yeah.
to this. Yeah, so it's really kind of hard to actually find out if they're legit or not. Do you mind if I have a buddy of mine come take a look at it?
For sure, good idea.
All right, hang out. I'm gonna go give my buddy Bob a call and we'll see what it actually is.
Great, thanks. I think having an expert come down is probably the best thing. He'll be able to give us an accurate assessment of how much it's worth. That way I have a better idea of what I should be selling it for.
Wow. Nice. So what you have is an Inca Kero.
Okay.
So would have been made around 1300 to 1500 AD, just before the Spanish came and conquered most of Peru. This is probably Pachamama, who is the father god, or just a representation of a lord or an elder. And they would use that for chicha. So chicha was a corn beer.
It's kind of like a mixture, like almost like between a wine and a beer, right?
Well, it's kind of like that, but it was really disgusting how they made it back then. They would take corn and they'd chew it up and they'd spit it into a little vat of water, and the saliva would help ferment it.
So I'm assuming it's silver. I mean, I really don't want to take a file and gouge into an antique.
No, not a good idea. But I've got something that will tell us without harming it.
Okay, what's that?
So it's an XRF gun. So what this does, it shoots a little beam of X-ray into the metal, causes the atoms to dance, and then it'll tell me what the metals are that this is made out of.
Okay.
So this is 98% silver,
Okay.
2% copper, and a trace of gold. So it is absolutely what it should be. The form is right, the construction is right. It's a great piece.
So what do you think it's worth?
This has to be worth $4 grand.
Man, this is always that time where I wish I didn't call you in, man. Thanks a lot, I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Bob.
All right.
So I'll give you 900 for it.
Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I kind of did that one to myself there, didn't I? Would you take two? Realistically, here's the deal. You have something cool, you gonna be able to sell it?
Unlikely. I don't have anyone who it's like I can just go out and sell it to someone. So I'll take the $2,000 and I'll go buy something I would actually use with it.
Cool. Meet me over there. Let's do some paperwork.
Gotcha.
What can I help you with?
Well, I got something to show you.
And this is
I think it is a toga pin.
from like Animal House? Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm coming to the shop today to sell my toga pin and find a little bit more about it. I got the toga pin from a friend over 20 years ago. Well, if I'm able to make a sale today, I'd like to take my granddaughter to Disneyland.
Okay, that is definitely cool. So where did you get this?
It was a gift from a friend. They picked it up at a garage sale, actually, but I don't know how old or what it might be worth or anything like that.
Well, it looks old. I mean, it could be Roman. Believe it or not, the Romans never invented buttons. Either they wore tunics, which was just basically a really, really long shirt / dress. If you had a little bit more money, you wore a toga. Basically, the more money you had, the nicer cloth it was. If you were a senator, it had a purple sash on it. The purple dye was like super expensive. It was like an ultra status symbol. People tried to decorate what they were wearing. You know, the more wealthy people had the nicer stuff. And if you're wearing a toga, you know, instead of just a plain pin, let's try and fancy it up. So it was just sort of like a sheet, and you pinned it right here, and everything sort of flew into place. You know, I imagine it would be a little bit more comfortable on a hot day.
Right.
It's got this backwards swastika on it. I don't know exactly what in the Roman culture that meant. The Nazis sort of kidnapped that whole symbol. But I think this one means good luck. I could be wrong. I mean, that's most likely what it was. I mean, if you put a symbol on your clothes or something like that, it was either good luck or it was fertility or it was a god or something like that. I mean, it's in pretty good shape. How much do you want for it?
$1,200.
All right, I'm gonna call a guy who's gonna look at it.
Okay.
Roman artifacts are deeply faked. Like I said, I mean, it's got everything there to be real, but is it real? So you have piqued my curiosity, so let me call the guy. I'll get him down here.
All right.
He will work his magic.
Okay.
Rick,
Hey, Bob, how's it going?
doing well. So what you got today?
He found this at a yard sale or garage sale or something like that, and he believes it's Roman. It sort of looks right. I have my doubts because 90% of the time it's not.
So it is a toga pin, but we call it a fibula. It was used to hold a toga together and also made quite the presence when you wore this little beauty. But I've got very bad news. It's not Roman. It's far earlier than that. This, if it's right, is from a culture called the Villanovans. So this is a couple of centuries even before the Etruscans were around. This was made probably in the 8th century BC.
Okay.
So we're looking at 2,800 years old. I brought a piece of equipment. You may not have seen it. It's called an XRF gun. It's X-ray fluorescence, and it shoots a little beam of X-ray into the metal. So the machine can then measure the percentages of each of the metal in this, just to see if the metals are correct for that time period. So we're gonna hit it in a couple of spots. Let's see what it tells us. Okay. So what we have here, mostly copper, tin, fine, lead, fine, iron. These are all things that would have picked up in the ground after almost 3,000 years. So based on what I'm seeing here, the minerals in this are absolutely consistent from that time period. You've got an ancient Villanovan fibula.
Wow. So what's it worth?
Because it's so rare, so complete, it's got to be worth 2,500 bucks.
Wow, that's good luck for me. Right?
No kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, well, thanks, man. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. All right, so what will you take for it?
I'd like to get 1,200.
Will you take $1,000?
No.
All right, looks like we got a deal.
Thanks, man.
All right, I will meet you right over there. We'll do some paperwork.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Now I got a fibula. All I need is a toga, and I'll be set.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. What do we have here?
All I know about it is some sort of Roman statue that my great uncle gave to me.
Okay, well, it looks old.
I came here to the pawn shop today to sell my Roman statue. It's in pretty good condition. I'm hoping to get $15,000 for it. Other family members have auctioned off items and gotten that price, so I'm hoping to get that.
This is really intriguing. The Roman Empire was around for right around 1,000 years. So you go to just about any field in Rome, you dig enough, you will find different bronze things, different artifacts. I'm thinking it's Roman because I don't know who that is, but that's more of a Roman face than a Greek face. Like the Greek stuff was more squarish, I guess, whereas the Romans were more roundish and curvy. The Romans were aesthetic about everything. And this right here, I don't think it's a statue of any kind. For some reason, I'm thinking there's some sort of function here. Most things had a purpose. This thing could be anything from a door handle to...
Well, it's hollow underneath, so maybe.
We have a pen hole right here, which I assume a nail or a pen would go through that. It looks bronze and the patina looks real, which it takes hundreds of years to look like this. And would it also account for the missing
Broken.
duckbill? Yeah. Most things that are this old, there's always condition issues. Rarely will you ever find something completely intact. It looks old to me. I cannot guarantee it at all, but it looks right. So how much you want for this?
$15,000.
Sounds a little steep, but you never know. Let me call somebody up. He will definitely be able to date it. We just have to figure out what it is and go from there.
Sure.
Then again, it could just be made in China. Give me a few minutes. I'm gonna give somebody a call.
All right. I hope when the expert comes in, he tells me that it's an authentic piece and that it's worth what I want to get for it.
So we have a Roman widget.
Widget.
Yeah, because I have no idea what it is. I mean, it looks like it was mounted on something because we have a pinhole right here, but besides that, it's a beer bong.
They did have a lot of those, but no, not a beer bong. So this is a Roman bronze chariot rain guide.
Really?
Think of it this way. You're on a chariot, 2 horses. Reins in your right hand, reins in your left, and you need a guide so that those reins stay in there.
Okay, so it's a chariot steering wheel.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a great way to think of it.
Okay, so the big question is it legit?
Well, it's got great patina, but just to be sure, we should probably test it to make sure that it's bronze.
Okay.
Let's see what we've got here. So, 65% copper, 21% tin, 8% lead. Copper, tin, and lead is exactly what you'd expect to see. It's bronze, lead
Okay.
and bronze. So, based on that, based on the patina, it's right.
Okay. So what do you think it's worth?
In this condition, this rarity, $5,000.
Okay. Thanks, man. You're the best.
My
I'll give you a call if I
pleasure.
buy it. What will you take?
Well, he said 5,000. That sounds like a good number.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely great. You know, if I bought and sold everything for the same price, I wouldn't be in business long. I'll give you $2,000.
How about 4,000?
No.
3,000.
No. I will give you $2,500, not a penny more.
Okay, deal.
You would have taken less, wouldn't you?
Maybe.
I will meet you right up front around the corner, okay?
Thank you.
Steering wheel.